What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cam show. We got NFL Week 13. Really some great games. Shout out to my Indianapolis Colts. They finally got the job done. They blew the Houston Texans out, and this was expected. I heavily picked the Indianapolis Colts, and like I said, dude, the Houston Texans this year, it's been a disaster. So this is not like, oh man, the Colts are going to be legit this year. Like, they're going to dominate. They're going to make the playoffs and run deep. No, let's not pump the brakes here. They played the Texans. They're trash. Tyrod Taylor's first throw in this game was an interception, dude. It was nasty, dude. It was one of them. I was like, all right, the Colts got it in the bag, and Carson Wentz really didn't have a big game, right? He had 158 yards passing and one touchdown. Really kind of quiet. A really quiet game for Carson, but Jonathan Taylor, he's the X factor for the Indianapolis Colts, and I think if he continues to play like he's been playing, I do think the Colts can really make the playoffs this year. Yes, I said back in like week 6 that the Indianapolis Colts would not make the playoffs, but I'm telling you what, the way Jonathan Taylor's been balling out, dude, the sky's the limit for the Indianapolis Colts and for this young man, dude. He's got 2 touchdowns this game and 143 yards rushing versus the Houston Texans. I think this was great. This was all Indianapolis Colts, and really, some games this year for the Indianapolis Colts, we could really look at it and say, you know what, you should have won this game. Let's go back to Thanksgiving weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, the Colts, they shot themselves in the foot. They should have won that game. There was other games as well. For the Indianapolis Colts, it's like they got to win the big games. They got to. They can't just make it to the big game. They got to win it. So I think for Carson Wentz, yes, there's some positive signs in Indianapolis Colts team and the whole city. I do think there's something brewing there, but is it going to be a Super Bowl this year? No, let's be realistic. But I do think the coming years we're really have that formula to possibly win a Super Bowl. And it sounds crazy, right? But I truly believe in Carson Wentz. I do. If he continues to ball out and stay healthy, I just think, yes, there's some weaknesses dealing with Carson Wentz, just like there is everybody else. But I just think for the Colts, man, we got to continue to play well and not shoot each other in the foot, dude, like we did against Tampa. But huge win by my Indianapolis Colts. Take off. Let's go. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons, and this was really an easy pick for me. I went Tampa Bay. They covered. This was really one of my. This should have been my lock pick of the week. But Tom Brady. He's Tom Brady. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 368 yards passing. We saw a little Gronk in there as well. Gronk and Tom Brady have 90 regular season touchdowns. Now, can you guys name the other duo that has more? Okay, it's one of the GOATs. Shout out to one of the GOATs. Peyton freaking Manning and Marvin Harrison. They have 112 scoring passes in the regular season. They are the most all time. And Gronk and Tom Brady are right behind him. But you know what? Shout out to Peyton Manning, huge icon, not just because he played for the Indianapolis Colts, just how Peyton Manning really carries himself as a man, as a leader. Everybody loves Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Dude, what a combination. What an iconic duo. But we're talking about the Bucs here. The defending Super Bowl champions. So we have to give them some respect. They're winners, dude. They're winners, and everybody's a Tom Brady hater. It's just funny how it goes, right? Everybody hates like the best guy in their sport. Look at LeBron James. Everybody hates LeBron. Everybody hates Tom Brady. It's just like, come on, dude. I feel like there's a little jealousy in there. We see Tom Brady. He has a model wife. He seems like he's living the greatest life of all time, right? The golden child. God's favorite child, right? That's what some people say. But, Tom Brady, love or hate him, he is the GOAT of football. Let's be honest here. 7 Super Bowls? We can't make that up, dude. This is something we cannot make up. And if Tampa Bay does repeat this year and if Tom Brady retires, that'll solidify him for the next 200 years, dude. 200 years. So that's crazy. But, shout out to the Bucs. With Atlanta, I do think they should move on with Matt Ryan. You guys have been there for a while. Nothing's really changed. What's changed in Atlanta, with their quarterback situation? Matt Ryan's been there for a while, went to the Super Bowl, and we saw the devastating news there. That was such a heartbreak. That was worse than getting cheated on, dude. That is worse, dude. Losing in the Super Bowl the way they did, 28-3. Come on, dude. That's unreal. But shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to Tom Brady, Gronk. And I just hope Antonio Brown comes back eventually soon. We saw the 3-game suspension. I do think Antonio Brown owes this team one. He does. And we go back to Antonio Brown back in 2019 going to New England. Just a lot of controversy's been with Antonio Brown the past couple years, right? We can admit that. I just think for Antonio Brown, you got to keep your head on straight. He's one of the most talented receivers we've ever seen, dude. And yet this continues to happen. It's got to stop. And I think, with Tom Brady being around Antonio Brown, that's really helping Antonio Brown and ultimately, I think, saving Antonio Brown's career right now. Because if it wasn't for Tom Brady, where would Antonio Brown be right now? We don't know. So that is crazy. But Antonio Brown, when he does come back, he owes Tampa Bay an apology, and he owes them a lot of stuff. Okay, so shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we got the LA Chargers versus Cincinnati Bengals. This was another disappointing game for me. Obviously, I went with the Cincinnati Bengals at home, the way they were playing, the way Joe Burrow was playing. But, just mistakes, Cincinnati. That's why they lost the game. And I think they lost the game. I don't want to blame anybody, but when Joe Mixon fumbled the ball and they scooped it up and scored, I just think, that was a turning moment right there. Joe Mixon did have a touchdown, but, I just think, Joe Burrow, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and I think Joe Burrow would like to get those picks back. I really do, and I knew, instinct, I should have went with the Chargers 100%. I just thought, looking at Cincinnati, dude, I really thought they would win. Coming from last week, the Chargers lost to the Denver Broncos, but this is NFL. Any given Sunday, every game's different, right? We got players hurt, backups coming in, so much can change, but shout out to Justin Herbert, 317 yards passing with 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Mike Williams, 5 receptions and 110 yards receiving. Clemson Cat. I just think the Chargers, this was really an important game for them, for both teams, but I think for the Chargers especially. Losing to Denver where you guys should have won that game, and you guys, with Herbert, I think he really, that got to him. So I think they bounced back. What a win. 41-22, and it didn't seem like a blowout till later in the game. This game was really close. It really was leading up until the fourth quarter, but, LA Chargers, man, shout out to them. I really did not see this coming. This game was definitely, I was a head-scratcher game. I was like, why did I pick Cincy? You know what I'm saying? But I just think for Joe Burrow, they will bounce back. Cincinnati, you guys should not hang your heads and be like, oh, that's it, it's over. No. The future is super bright in Cincinnati right now. We see the Cincinnati Bearcats, in the college football playoff, and then we see the Bengals, 7-5 right now, and if they continue to win, dude, they can make the playoffs. So a lot of stuff's going on in Cincy, but shout out to the Chargers getting the dub. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Detroit Trash Lions. Hey, man, shout out to the Lions. They finally got their first win all season, and I picked the Lions a couple weeks ago back on Thanksgiving, and I was wrong. I knew I was a couple weeks away from that dub. I knew I was right around there, but, the Lions got it done, and I really blame the Minnesota defense. And I don't even blame Kirk Cousins on this loss. Kirk Cousins actually had a great game. 340 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. And his favorite target, Justin Jefferson, 182 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. We saw Minnesota's defense give up that game-winning touchdown. And I just don't like it. I feel like the Minnesota's playing defense not to lose the game or not give up the big play. It's like you got to put pressure on the quarterback, dude. You're playing the Detroit Lions. They haven't won a game this year. So, why are you guys playing prevent defense and, sagging off, And I think, the game-winning touchdown pass, Jared Goff, shout out to Jared Goff, but, I feel like that was its own coverage, and they should have came up. They should have been pressing. They should have played aggressive here, and I think Minnesota really shot themselves in the foot. Their defense. It was like, really? Why are you guys playing, soft coverage? I just thought they should have played more aggressive that way, and I think Minnesota would have won that game, but, hats off to the Lions. They finally got their first win, on this season. Who would have thought? Detroit Lions, they're trash. They are trash. They really are, but, what a win, though. And for Minnesota right now, it is surprising. Coming from last year, Minnesota had a good season, even the last couple years with Minnesota, and now this year, I don't understand what's going on, and I do think it is their defense. Their secondary's giving up big plays and not playing well, and really they're not putting pressure on the quarterback. But, for Minnesota, dude, you got to go back to the X's and O's. Now, the season's not over. Minnesota can still make the playoffs, no doubt, but it's going to be hard right now losing to the Detroit Lions. 0-loss team at the time, dude. So, shout out to the Lions getting the dub. Then we had the Giants Giants versus the Miami Dolphins. I went Miami here. This was really an easy pick. I just think the Giants, man, there's just a lot of injuries. Daniel Jones was out. Saquon Barkley, he had 11 carries, 55 yards. And I just think for Saquon, I want to see him on a better team. Yes, I like the Giants, back when Eli played, but I just want to see Saquon with a great quarterback, right? Don't we all? I just feel like, that young man, he has so much talent, so much ability. So I think moving in the future, I do see him going somewhere else, or at least the Giants need to get a good quarterback. But, for Miami Dolphins, shout out to Tua, 244 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. What a game. Jalen Waddle, he had 9 receptions, 90 yards. It was just an all-around good game for Miami Dolphins. And I even said at the beginning of the year, and Miami started off a little shaky, I said, dude, Miami, the way they play, the way they never give up when they played the Las Vegas Raiders, I said, dude, this team, man, I'm telling you, they're going to do something this decade. During this decade, I'm telling you what, Miami Dolphins are going to be a playoff team eventually. Maybe not this year, but in the next couple years, I'm telling you what, Miami's going to be on the map. Shout out to Miami Dolphins getting the big win. And then we had Philly versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel bad for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, man. It was just one of them things. It was like, how? How are you guys going to do this? It's sad, dude. It really is to me. I just think, for Jacksonville, it sucks, man. It sucks. Excuse me, Jacksonville and the Rams. Why did I say Philly? Jacksonville and the Rams. I just think for Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, man, he is coughing up an egg. He's coughing up a big egg, and it's one of them things. Is like, is he really gonna be a bust this year? I never thought Trevor Lawrence would be a bust, dude. I thought he would be a superstar coming into this league, really on fire. And we kind of see it like, the opposite here. We're kind of like, man, I don't know about him, dude. But the Rams got the job done. We saw Odell, man. OBJ had a touchdown, only 28 yards, only 2 targets. I do want to see Matt Stafford targeting OBJ more, 100%. Matt Stafford, 295 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, just 145 yards. Carlos Hyde, he had a touchdown, 24 yards rushing. But for Jacksonville and Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, it's like, dude, I cannot believe you guys only have 2 wins this year. That is piss poor. That's terrible. That's trash. I don't know what's going on, but they got to go back to the X's and O's and the drawing board and go back to square 101, dude. Like basic 101 math, dude. What's 2 plus 2? Like that type of shit, dude. But, shout out to the Rams. And Cooper Kupp balled out. 129 yards receiving in a touchdown. They blew out Jacksonville 37-7. It was just a walk in the park. Hats off to the Rams, man. I did go Rams money line because the spread was 13. I thought it was going to be a little bit higher. But, hats off to the Rams beating the trash Jacksonville Jaguars. Then we got Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. What a game. I picked Philly. This was really my lock pick. They covered, and really, Jalen Hurts was out. And guard Minshew, he came in, man. Minshew, he looks just like a dude off the street, man. He really does. 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. He balled out, man. Shout out to Minshew. I'm telling you what, we saw him with Jacksonville a couple years ago. He was balling out then. I'm telling you, in Philly, he balled out, dude. What a game. What a game. And then Miles Sanders, 24 carries, 120 yards rushing. And then Zach Wilson, 226 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Elijah Moore, 77 yards receiving and a touchdown for the Jets, but it wasn't enough. And I think for Philly, they put pressure on Zach Wilson. They did what they had to do to get the win. And I told you guys, Philly all day here. I love Philly in this matchup. And Minshew, man, shout out to Minshew. He got the job done. What a time, man. Shout out to Philly. And then we got the Washington team versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm really upset with this game. I obviously went with the Raiders, and I knew I should have went with the Washington team. Yes, after the results, but I just think when the Washington team won last week and they beat Tampa Bay this year, I just think, man, this was really a pick that I should have known, dude. I should have picked the Washington team. They won 17-15. And really, Taylor Heineke, man, this guy, dude, no one's ever really heard of this cat, but I'm telling you what, he's got a good IQ of the game. He's got good instincts of the game. I like this kid, man. 196 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Logan Thomas, 48 yards receiving and a touchdown for the Washington team. They got the job done, dude. And we saw, Derek Carr come back, 249 yards passing, Hunter Renfro, 9 receptions, 102 yards receiving. Clemson cat, caught the game-winning touchdown, national championship. He's a baller, but, for the Washington team, man, they got momentum, and they put pressure on Derek Carr. That was the difference maker. That was the difference. The Washington team's defense versus the Raiders offense, and that's what capitalized on it, was the Washington team's defense. And yes, Taylor Heineke, yes, he had a bad throw late game, but hey, they still won the game, dude. They won the game, man. And shout out to the Washington team, man. They're here, man. I'm telling you what, I never thought they would be good this year, but hey, they're ballers, man. There's some ballers on there. Shout out to the Washington team. Then we had the Arizona Cardinals versus the Chicago Bears. I picked the Arizona Cardinals. This was really an easy matchup. They started Andy Dalton, the Chicago Bears. He threw for 4 picks. Like I said, when Andy Dalton starts, you guys are going to lose, dude. Andy Dalton is trash, dude. I've always told people that. Nobody believed me, dude. Andy Dalton is trash, dude. He's complete garbage, dude. So, this was an easy pick. Kyler Murray, 123 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. James Conner, 2 receptions, 36 yards and a touchdown for Arizona. They got the job done. I think for Arizona, that's great. Kyler Murray's back in the mix, getting the flow, and I do expect J.J. Watt to be back by the end of the year. So Arizona Cardinals are going to be definitely a threat in the playoffs coming up. I'm telling you what, dude, the NFL playoffs, dude, there's nothing like it, and I'm telling you, Arizona Cardinals will be there. They're going to be ready. What a time, man. Big win by the Arizona Cardinals. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, this was another game where I was like, wow, dude, this was a nail-biter. I knew it was going to be close. I picked the Ravens. They were more battle-tested. But, hats off to the Pittsburgh. They barely won. They won by 1 point, and it came down to the wire. And the Ravens came down the field, scored, and they were down by 1, and they went for 2. And I think John Harbaugh, he went for 2 because, a lot of injuries on defense. Some cornerbacks were out. So I don't blame this call. The Ravens have been, really winning the coin flips this year. When they gambled in, we saw the 4th and 1 versus Kansas City. Lamar got it. I just think this 2-point conversion, they should have ran it to the left. They should have ran it away from T.J. Watt, go to the opposite side of the field, and have Lamar do like a little option thing, right? Either you take it in, Lamar, you're going to score a touchdown here, or throw it. And he threw it to Andrews, and Andrews did drop the ball. Yes, Lamar kind of led him a little bit, but hey, you're a tight end. Andrews, if the ball hits your hand, I don't care if it's 1 or 2 hands, you got to come down with it. And I think for Andrews, come down with that ball, dude. He scores a touchdown. He walks in. And T.J. Watt did have an influence on that last play, 100%. He's well worth it. Shout out to T.J. Watt, one of the best defensive players, in today's NFL game. But I just think, for the Ravens, it's like for Andrews, I was upset. It's like, dude, come on, you have to catch it. There's no excuse here, dude. Like, we can make up thousands of excuses and say what we want, but hey, Lamar put it in there. Yes, he did lead you. It wasn't the best ball. I get all that, but at the end of the day, man, it was right there. It was right there, but, big win by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben, 236 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. For Lamar, 253 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 55 yards rushing. It was a decent game, but it was really a quiet night for Lamar. It really was. It was just, for Pittsburgh Steelers, this was the game that you wanted to play, right? Really a grinded out game, a slow pace game. Just didn't really get anything going, and really it worked in Pittsburgh's advantage. In Pittsburgh, Johnson, he had 8 receptions, 105 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. He balled out as well, man. The Pittsburgh, this was a coin flip game. I truly thought the Ravens would get the dub. They obviously didn't. It came close, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I think the Ravens, they will make the playoffs, whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be a coin flip, really, of making the playoffs this year. There's a lot of games coming down the wire, so for me, it's just like, I don't know. I really don't know about it, so, it's sad to see, but, big win by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we got the San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle Seahawks. I went Seattle in this pick with the upset, and I was right, man. Shout out to Russell Wilson, man. I'm telling you what, I don't know if he's going to end his career in Seattle. We're hearing speculations that he could get traded this offseason. Who knows what's going to happen this offseason for Seattle? What offseason? This is going to be huge for them, because if Russell Wilson does leave Seattle, it's it. It's over for Seattle. The heydays are over. The Super Bowl days are over in Seattle if that ever happens. But Russell Wilson, 231 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Tyler Lockett, 86 yards receiving, 68 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. And got the job done. In San Francisco, they got it to the 4th and goal and did not get it. But Jimmy G, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. I just think, for San Francisco, they're kind of one-dimensional, right? They love to run the ball, utilize that play action, but like I said, Jimmy G is not a franchise quarterback. He's not. He's not a quarterback that's going to lead you guys to the Super Bowl, dude. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. I'm sorry, San Francisco fans. It's time to release him this offseason. George Kittle, 181 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. One of the best tight ends in the game. George Kittle balled out, man. Elijah Mitchell, 66 yards rushing and a touchdown. San Francisco is right there, but Seattle got it done, man. Why did I pick Seattle? Because of Russell Wilson. So many people sleep on Russell Wilson. He's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, hurt or not. Dude, Russell Wilson is legit, man. We look at Russell Wilson's career up to this point, right? Playing at Wisconsin, being short, being drafted in the 3rd round, the Colts skipped on him. I just think for Russell Wilson, it's a great story. It's a great story that the underdog can finally come on top, dude. That's great for me, man. Hey, shout out to the Seattle Seahawks. Shout out to Russell Wilson. Got the dub. And then we got Denver Broncos versus Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. Kansas City, they got the job done. 9.5 was the point spread. They covered that. And really it was a quiet night for Patrick Mahomes. 184 yards and an interception. It really was a quiet night, but they still got the job done. And I'm telling you what, we got to give a shout out to Kansas City Chiefs defense. We a month and a half ago we were like, dude, they're trash. Whatever, for their defense, but they stepped up. They're stepping up. They're finally putting pressure on the quarterback, and really that's the difference right there. That is the true difference. In Denver, for Teddy Bridgewater, yes, he did have 2 interceptions. Those, I bet he liked to get back, and he had 1 touchdown on 257 yards passing. But, Denver, and they had another turnover. 3 turnovers versus Kansas City, you're not going to win. 1 turnover, yes, that's a possibility. But 3, no way you're going to beat Kansas City, one of the best offenses in the league. So, big win by Kansas City. And then we had the Monday Night Football game, New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. I picked the Bills. They were favored by 2.5, and I thought for sure they'd come out on fire. Yes, the weather had a factor, the wind, the cold, whatever. I just think, for the New England Patriots, it was silly of me to pick the Bills. Right, I just think for Bill Belichick, you could call him a cheater, call him whatever you want, but Bill Belichick, he's a winner. He wins Super Bowls, and this was a game where old school football came into play. They ran the ball, they ran it a lot. Mac Jones threw it about 3 times this game for 19 yards, dude. That's how much they ran the ball. Okay, so the Patriots had this all mapped up. Damian Harris, he had 10 carries, 111 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown, dude. I mean, this was just an old school football game. Cold weather, where you get hit, you feel it worse than in warm weather. Dude, you just gotta love it, man. And Josh Allen, 145 yards with 1 touchdown. It just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for the Buffalo Bills. And I think, for the Patriots, man, this is just a Bill Belichick type of game, dude. Just run the ball, eat up the clock. I'm going to go for 2, when they scored the first touchdown. I just, for the New England Patriots, we can talk shit about them. We can say crazy stuff, whatever we want to say, right? But at the end of the day, Bill Belichick is still a winner. He's still a winner. He's still got multiple Super Bowl champions. So what are you going to say at the end of the day? What are you guys going to say about Bill Belichick when he's in the history books? When he's in the NFL history books, as goes down as one of the, if not the best NFL coach ever. What are you guys going to say then? Even if he's in the top 5, what are you going to say? There's not much to say anymore. We can say Deflategate. We can say Spygate. We can say whatever about Bill Belichick. He is still one of the best coaches we've ever seen this game play. Coach. Bill Belichick probably could have played. He could have played running back. He could have played quarterback. But I'm telling you what, man, he can coach. He can coach, and we saw, yes, at the end of the day, I'll still take Tom Brady over Bill Belichick 100%. But, what a win by the New England Patriots. They got the job done. 42 was the over-under. This was definitely an under game. In the cold weather, just seems typical. But what a time, man. What an NFL weekend, man. Hey, the biggest upset definitely is the Detroit Lions, man, beating the Minnesota Vikings. Detroit, 0 wins, finally got the dub. Feels like they won a Super Bowl, right? But not quite, okay? This is the regular season, but hats off to my Indianapolis Colts. They're on a roll. They need to continue to win, baby. It's the NFL. It's the Clyde with Cam show. Let's go!